Hey guys, this video covers some of the most disturbing and unhinged confessions I found on Reddit. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're new, which you obviously are, then a sub would really help me keep making these. Without further ado, here's the first one. My mom drunkenly touched me and it's ruining my mental state. Let me provide my fellow Reddit users with some context before we get into the actual story. I and my mom, 35 female, have been close for most of my life because my dad was a deadbeat who liked inappropriate things, and we got away from him. Currently, we live with my stepdad, 45 male, and they've been happily married for around the last 10 years or so. Since I turned about 11, I've been observing their drinking usage because alcohol use is typically a nightly thing, and it's usually the center of most arguments they have. Along with that, they're both mentally ill, jobless, and probably sick of each other at this point. My stepdad is physically broken from working as a mechanic for 20 years, and my mom has 2 felonies and can't get a job. We're staying afloat purely off my step-grandpa's salary, which isn't much. My parents weren't the popular type in school and made sure I knew high school would be hard. I was very fearful of school for a while because of that. But surprisingly, I thrived quite well with A and B grades throughout middle and high school. We all had our fair share of trauma. My parents haven't shared a bed in quite a while because my stepdad sweats profusely, and my mom tends to thrash around a lot. So my mom has been staying on a spare mattress on my floor for the time being, around a couple of weeks. Last night, my mom came into my room at around 2 in the morning, having been drunken for quite a while with my stepdad. She collapsed onto the mattress and kept talking to me while I was trying to go to bed because she tends to be quite a blabbermouth. Eventually, she needs my help pushing her back onto the mattress because she rolled off it. As I'm trying to help roll her back into bed, she keeps asking to lay down on my bed because it's a lot softer. Keep in mind, my bed is a queen and the borrowed one was a twin, so it wasn't too unusual. I gave up and fell back into my bed and tried to fall asleep. I wake up to her arm around me and I kept pushing it off me, but eventually she started to nuzzle my neck and even went as far as to bite it. At this point, things are getting really weird, and I keep moving away from her, but she keeps running her hands over my chest and arms. Eventually, she moves one of her hands into my shirt and starts to play with, you may understand something unusual happened here. Eventually, I realize I'm about to finish, and I panically pulled out. We both laid there for a second before the post-nut clarity hit me like a train. She started apologizing profusely and saying it was wrong and it was bad, and she left my room. She doesn't end up coming back up for the night, and I sat there just shaking until I fell asleep. The next morning, my stepdad asked me how I was doing, and I think my mom told him what happened, or at least what she remembers. I don't know how to approach the situation, or even how to go on with my days. I spent most of today sitting in my room or crying, and I feel disgusted. I feel disgusted not just by my mom and what she did, but myself for letting it happen. I committed self-harm for the first time in almost 6 months, and I honestly don't know what to do, who to talk to, or how to just live my life again. That's all for now. If I remember to, I'll update about the conversation we are inevitably going to have. Any suggestions would be great, especially if they don't involve the cops, because I feel like that would be way too much right now. Adios for now, Reddit. I ruined my brother's life, and now he has to pay all the consequences. When I was young, I was abused by my older brother. Hours it went on, and I ran to my parents only to tell them that he only showed me his thing. I didn't tell them the whole story because I didn't want to get him in trouble. I just remembered and realized that I was abused by him about 2 years ago. In therapy, about a year ago, I decided to tell my mother about it because I thought she would comfort me or finally notice my pain, but she didn't. I would constantly cry to my mom and vent to her about it after that day, but she would tell me to get over it and that I was abused too and you don't see me acting like this. I also got victim blamed, and my mom would defend him by describing it as him blacking out as he did it, and he doesn't even remember it. I was so tired of trying to get comfort from either of my parents because, surprise, surprise, my dad didn't give a shit and did nothing. So I took matters into my own hands. I wanted justice. I got in contact with my brother's best friend's sister and became friends with her and confessed that my brother raped me, and she immediately told her brother. Her brother called me later that day to get all the details and to tell me to come to him for anything, because he'd be the big brother I never had. He then sent me a video one day of my brother getting jumped by a bunch of his friends. I know I shouldn't be happy and smiling as I watched that video, but I couldn't help it. I felt like I was finally getting the justice I never got. It then became a pattern. I'd talk to her brother, and he'd send me more and more videos of my brother getting jumped. I was so happy, but at the same time, I felt like a terrible person. My brother lost his best friend and started to get into drugs, got beat up constantly, and is completely alone. He is 19 and I'm 16. He has his whole life ahead of him, and I put him in this situation. He has been in jail multiple times and is now kicked out of our apartment complex completely because he smoked weed to escape his problems. He can't go on our family vacation for my grandpa's 70th birthday because of me. I ruined his life, I feel like.
Colleague complained that I made her uncomfortable. Manager meeting tomorrow. I'm on contract and scared of losing a job I genuinely love.
I, 24 male, work at a great company as a contractor. I genuinely love my team, the work, and the company, so this situation has me extremely stressed. A female colleague from a different team and her friends were my cabmates, and I met her through them recently, told her manager that I was making her uncomfortable. Her manager then informed my manager, and now my manager, a global IT leader, wants to meet me tomorrow. Here's what happened, from my perspective. We had connected on Snapchat and exchanged streaks. I sent gym snaps, including shirtless gym progress pictures, but I sent similar streaks to many people, not just her. Over the last 2 days, I asked her once or twice if she'd like to grab coffee because I considered her a friend. She never explicitly said no to the coffee invitation, but she also didn't accept. At one point, I mentioned seeing couples kissing around our office campus. She told me, "I don't want to listen to that, bro." I immediately apologized, changed the topic, started talking about career or studies, then told her, "I think I've probably bothered you a lot, sorry," and ended the conversation. I have not threatened her, insulted her, or intentionally tried to harass her. Looking back, I can see that my approach may have crossed professional boundaries and made her uncomfortable, even though that wasn't my intention. From what I've heard, her manager apparently said that they don't think I had bad intentions, but my manager still wants to discuss the situation with me.
I'm mainly worried because I'm a contractor. I really enjoy this company and don't want to lose this opportunity. I'm planning to be honest, apologize for making her uncomfortable, and assure my manager that I'll keep all future interactions strictly professional. I'm not looking for validation or for people to say she's wrong. I genuinely want to learn from this. My questions are, if you were a manager or HR, how would you view this situation? Does this sound like something that usually ends with coaching or a warning, or could it realistically lead to termination for a contractor? What is the best way to handle tomorrow's meeting? I'd appreciate honest advice, especially from managers, HR professionals, or anyone who's been through something similar.
God, I just need to say this somewhere. When I was about to turn 13, I lived near a gas station. Using my mom's food stamps, I buy food. Keep in mind that I lived real close by, so it was actually quicker to walk than drive. One day, a man in a red truck called to me, asking if I needed a ride. I said no. He paused, then said, "Do you wear a thong?" Now, I didn't fully understand what that was, but I knew enough to realize that was not an okay thing to say to a 12, 13-year-old. And in my infinite child wisdom, I'd already planned for what I'd do if someone tried to take me. I asked his name. He said Junior. Kept asking, but that's all I got. Eventually, he realized I wasn't going anywhere with him, and he drove off. I came home, told my mom, and she said not to tell. She had a bad history with police. And I didn't. And now it's too late. But it feels wrong to not tell someone. So if you live in the Springfield, Missouri area, and you hear a man in a red truck with no plates asking for a ride, don't take it. And report it, please.
My girlfriend's ex R-word her, and now he's the new hot thing in Hollywood. I can't stand being constantly surrounded by people talking about this guy and how great his movie is. My Reddit and YouTube feeds are both absolutely teeming with people glazing him. Big accounts, smaller indie creators. I can't escape it. And what's even worse is she can't escape it either. We live in a relatively small town with an even smaller actors/creatives community. So this isn't just something happening online. He's like a hometown hero these days. Everywhere we turn, it's more of his name and face. I can't fucking take it. TBH, she's handling it better than I am, and I'm grateful for that. It would kill me to know she was fixating on this the way I am. Even saying that makes me feel awful, like I'm making myself the victim of her traumatic experience. I know it's selfish to make her pain about me, and I don't want to do it, but I can't help but to dwell on the complete, disgusting injustice of it all. I hate that someone who hurt the person I love is being showered in praise and adoration. This morning, I came across a post a YouTuber made apologizing for a joke he told in a video about this movie. There were literally thousands of comments. At least 100 of the top comments were about how the scene, or the whole movie, is an allegory for intoxication and how messed up it is to have sex with someone without consent. I wanted to pull my fucking hair out. Just scream from a mountaintop. The guy who made this movie is literally a rapist. By all accounts, the movie he made is really, really good. I imagine he'll go on to enjoy quite a bit of success. And I fucking hate it.
My sister thinks she's allowed to dead name me. Essentially, me, 21, and my sister, 20, have literally been together our entire lives. We come from a big family, and so kids in the same age range were lumped together. We have over 20 siblings. I'm so not kidding. I'm trans and have been my entire life. I started going by a new name when I was 4, and yet somehow my sister has always assumed she's the exception to this rule. My family knows I'm trans, but none of them respect it. When I tried to gently come out to my mother, she literally told me no because she birthed me, and so they were her pronouns. When I tried to commit after I got out of the hospital, my dad literally mentioned that he thinks I have a mental illness disorder, pretty much like Munchausen's, but for my disorders, which were diagnosed privately and without my awareness for at least 2 years, so I wasn't getting help, mind me mention. So, safe to say, none of my family is progressive. But the thing is, my sister is, or at least she is for everyone else. She herself is queer, as am I. She respects pronouns and chosen names, and yet every time we introduce ourselves to new people, she calls me something not even my past teachers and classmates would call me. She always adds that she has special permission because she's my sister. But the thing is, I never gave it. And literally everyone associated to me and her calls me the dead name because of it, like her younger friend who has also been told I don't go by that name. She even calls me by the nickname my sister does, and frankly, I don't like her as a person in the first place. She's lied straight to my face multiple times and does shady shit. It gets to the point where I literally have to beg my sister to use my preferred name in public spaces where I really want it to stick. and actually made me grateful when she decided not to go with me to this con, where I got to meet 8 cast members from one of my favorite shows. They only know my chosen name, and as far as they're aware, it's my birth name, and they love it, and it's signed on all the autographs I got. But I just know if she had come, she wouldn't have stuck to the name, and the whole experience would have felt slightly ruined. It's partially my fault for not just telling her to her face not to call me by that name, but frankly, she scares me when she gets mad, and she can get mad at a lot of things due to her own mental health.
I was a fucking idiot on Palestine at 14. Hi, I wanted to make this post because of something that's been eating away at me for 3 to 2 years now. At early 2024, I was 14 and supported Biden for the next presidential election not because of any of his policies, and especially not because of his genocide, but that he would be a better option than Trump, I thought. I still supported Palestine no matter what, even if my support wasn't even that sincere because of the Biden thing. But one day, since I had Twitter and was a fucking dumbass kid, I saw a post by a Palestinian American. They weren't in the Gaza Strip, DW, they were safe, saying not to vote for Biden. And I quote retweeted it, saying some stupid shit like, "Oh, we need to vote Biden or else America will also be genocided by Trump." Not what I actually said, but you know what I mean. And they rightfully called me out on my bullshit, as well as other people educating me on why Biden is also bad and evil. And the moment I realized that, I replied to my post and apologized for my QRT and for my fucking idiotic thoughts. And ever since then, it's been eating me. Even though I was just getting into my teens, I still don't think I can be forgiven, and I understand fully why people wouldn't. After that experience, and even before, I kept my entire homepage be filled with reposts of videos and news from Palestine for all to see. Tried my best to spread awareness about Palestinian GoFundMes, and even was able to spread awareness for one of them enough for them to reach 5K on their campaign. But even then, I still said those words, and I still thought of them while I was reposting all those videos prior to that QRT. For years now, this has been haunting me no matter what I do, no matter how many Palestine drinks for aid I buy, no matter how many times I blast PFLP songs outside my window, no matter how much I educate myself and tell Zionists to go die, I seriously don't think I can be forgiven for that. So that's why I'm asking to see if I am able to be forgiven or not. If there is anyone of Palestinian descent reading this, I sincerely ask them to forgive me, and I will forever be on Palestine's side no matter what happens. Please, I beg of you.
I lied to my wife so that she would go to the hospital instead of the pregnancy center. The year was 2011, and I was 27M, and she was 24F. We were young and newly married, having our first child. She was very pregnant and planning the delivery of our first child. My wife had a life-saving surgery when she was very young. She has blocked out a lot of the details, but if you ever saw the movie Awake with Hayden Christensen, it was like that. She could hear and feel everything, and it was very traumatic for her. At least, we think that's probably what happened to her. She was very young for that surgery. Because of this, she hates going to hospitals and cannot stand it. She wanted to deliver the baby in a pregnancy center. Seemed less like a hospital to her. Thing is, she didn't know why she wanted to deliver in a pregnancy center at the time. She had blocked it out. She wouldn't really know for a while, she just knew she hated hospitals. She had always hated hospitals as long as she could remember. To complicate things, I was an LVN and had some training in and around medicine, in particular with labor and delivery. I took a lot of time off of work so that I could be with her for the whole process and drive her to all of her appointments. I didn't want her to feel alone. We even did those silly breathing classes together like in the movies, but we didn't finish them. Even she thought they were a waste of time, though I kept my opinions to myself until she started sharing hers. The thing that concerned me, though, is that she really wanted to shift to a pregnancy center instead of a hospital. I told her why I didn't want her to do that. An emergency surgical suite was down the hall from labor and delivery, whereas it's across the street at best from a pregnancy center. In the rare event that she needs one, it could save her life when seconds count. She had this strong emotion about it though. It's what she wanted. What I did was I lied. I told her that I had called and that the insurance wouldn't cover it. That's probably true, but I could have at least called. I was afraid it would have been covered though, and was more concerned about her safety, so I did it that way. It was the wrong way to handle it. I told her about it later, of course. But now I confess it to the internet too. So there you go. That's what I did. Do I feel remorse? Yes, that was the wrong thing to do. I should not have lied to my wife. She deserved better than that. She did end up needing an emergency C-section, not saying that makes what I did right, but she's alive today, and so is my daughter. I still could have handled it better.
I hate admitting this, but I feel like I've wasted my teenage years. I'm 19 years old, and I honestly feel like a loser. The only job I've ever had was when I was 15 until about halfway through being 16. I quit, and I haven't worked since. Every time I think about applying somewhere, I end up convincing myself I'm too far behind everyone else. I don't have my driver's license, I don't have a car, I don't have any real work experience. It feels like everyone my age has jobs, is in college, has money saved, or is at least moving forward. Meanwhile, I feel like I've been standing still for years. The worst part is that I don't even know how I got here. I know people will probably say, just get a job or just get your license. And I know they're right, but when you've spent years feeling like you're already behind, it's hard not to believe you're a lost cause. I constantly compare myself to other people my age, and every comparison makes me feel worse. I feel embarrassed when people ask what I do because I don't really have an answer. I know I'm only 19, but it feels like I've already wasted so much time that I can't catch up. I don't know if anyone else has ever felt this way, but I just needed to get it off my chest. One of the things that hurts the most is when someone asks me, "What do you do?" and I have to say, "Nothing." Seeing their reaction, even if they don't say anything, makes me feel embarrassed. It's like I can see the disappointment, confusion, or judgment on their face, and it just reinforces the feeling that I'm behind everyone else. I hate feeling like I have nothing to be proud of when someone asks about my life. I hate feeling like I have to explain myself or make excuses for where I'm at. I know people probably aren't always trying to make me feel that way, but those moments stick with me and make me feel even more like a failure.